this big gigantic couch, and every subscriber is sitting on it, and we're just like watching TV together and hanging out, and I want that to feel this way. Hey, little buddy. I know these days I'm completely out of order. I got nothing for you. I want to hear some BT tunes. This one came recommended from a friend. I'm going to check it out. It came, I think it was, if I remember right, it was the outro for Hope World, which no, I can't say this isn't accurate, but I've heard Daydream and I've heard, I think, both Airplanes. Like Airplane, one of the Airplanes was J-Hope, and I don't know which one, but I heard both of them. I think there was a video on one and wasn't on the, I don't know. That was a live stream, and you know the soju flows hard on the live stream. So, all that to say, I have not heard Hope World yet, but I'm going to do that, and you know I will. Oh.
다리에 파란 것만 걷고 싶단 걸 Singing my blues, singing my bloom Back in my room 노립작의 시절 파란 나와 가벼운 숨 냉정과 열정 사이 그 무게를 재보지만 지금 난 그저 파랗게 타서 죽고 싶다 Blue side, blue side Back to blue side, blue side Blue side, blue side Back to blue side, blue side
Nice.
Blue side, back to blue side.
so much about that I just loved. Like even the chimes which are not like on beat and just kind of wind chiming along. What a great atmospheric tool. But that bass line, and maybe it's these things, but I never heard the bass like I hear in here. But before I go through the song, can I just say, let me give you some of this, right? And some of you will laugh because you'll be like, well, duh, bro, we knew about this like 30 years ago. But not me, because this is the first time I've, heard this song, but also seen this picture. Because if you look, let me see here. There's all kinds of stuff. We got, all the text. I want to hold you, in my blue dream, back to blue side, singing my bloom, J-Hope. We've got his birthday, February 18th, 94. I'm singing blues, in my arms, faith, Pandora's box, back in my room, blue moon, Haven. Blue side. Longing. And there's probably more I'm not seeing. But there's all these pictures. We got eyeballs and we got little characters. But do you see this screaming at you right here? This Jack in the Box? Interesting. Got little robot faces, teddy bears. It's awesome. What a cool picture. And there's like bigger stuff happening too. I can't quite make it out, but can't tell if it's a flower. What is it? Wow, that's wild. So I guess lyrics would make sense next. This is going to be a little weird. Because this was the outro, but then he released it. I guess he released it last year. Okay, so this makes sense. Yep. Blue side. J-Hope released this song, a full version of his mixtape outro, Blue Side, on the 3-year anniversary of his mixtape, Hope World. Okay. In his March 2018 V-Live in celebration of the release of Hope World, J-Hope said that he had made the song 3 years ago as the first song he made after one verse. I don't know what that is. He was really into the blue vibe, a feeling that wind and sky would bring. Although he didn't begin with a big agenda when writing the song, he said that this song brings him back to the days when he was naive and clueless. Blue sky and wind that are full of good memories. I kind of get that. And I'll tell you how much I feel like I get that. If you look at my tattoo here, I don't know how I'm going to show you this. So you're looking at it upside down. Okay, this is kind of a mountain, and there's water, and then there's sky up there. I told my artist who did my whole sleeve, when you do the blue, this is the color blue that I need. And I showed her a picture of the sky, like a very specific color of blue, and she did her best to match it. And I was so specific about it because for me, and I think this is kind of what Hobie's talking about, like I'll be at work or I'll be somewhere and I'll catch a shot of a piece of the sky with like some trees or something, and there's like a very specific green too. That color blue like puts me in the mood, but like in a almost nostalgic kind of mood. Yeah, it's strange, but it all had to do with this scene and kind of what this scene represents to me. Because, of course, every tattoo's got a story, yada, yada, yada. But the blue vibe with the wind and the sky, good memories, I get that. Okay. J-Hope's note translated. Today is March 2nd and also the day that marks 3 years since a mixtape called Hope World came out. Back then, I remember that I just wanted to have you listen to my music and hastily and recklessly wrote it down, letting my body and creative spirit lead me. Perhaps because of that, listening to the mixtape again makes me feel somewhat embarrassed and ashamed. And at the same time, it feels like it was the courage and mindset of those times that allowed me to make this mixtape called Hope World. Now, I'm going to pause for a second, and I'm going to give a very specific message to a friend of mine. And it's not a close friend. It's just someone I've recently had contact with on Twitter. This person created a video series. It's an incredible video series. And like any creative person, and I think a lot of people, not just creative people, but when you build something, you always see multiple versions of that thing. What could have been, what you had planned, what the actual is, and then you see all the mistakes. Like, it's extremely, extremely tricky as a creator of anything because of that fact. So this friend created this video series, which a lot of you are familiar with. And I know that she struggles with imposter syndrome, and she has a hard time with her work. Now, we all look at that work and go, how could you not feel proud and like walk a little taller because you built this? How can you see this through any other lens? But that's the lens of the creator. That's kind of what we struggle with. So, for you, and you know who I'm talking to, listen to Hobie's letter right here. I'm going to read it again specifically for you. Listening to the mixtape again makes me feel somewhat embarrassed and ashamed. Sound familiar? Would you have listened to Hope World and been like, man, he should be embarrassed and ashamed by this. He very clearly, recklessly put this out. No. Now, he's looking at it that way, but he's literally the only one. So, to my friend, I'm talking to you. What you're experiencing is perfectly normal. But at some point, try to take a step back and look at that work through the eyes and lenses of everybody else that sees your work and loves it. That's all I'm going to say about that. Back to Hobie's letter. But I sometimes miss those times. A daily music log of an innocent boy written naively and however he felt like. The thought that I should complete Blue Side, I think, stemmed from such an emotion. I believe that there comes a time for one, where they develop empathy for old days or old things and subsequently have a nostalgia. And it feels like now is exactly that time for me. Working on music, I let myself freely draw and paint my innocent childhood self, who was like a blank white sheet of paper. Although I cannot go back, I needed a blue resting place where I can, embraced in its arms, comfort myself, where I can calm and cool my heated self down in many ways. Nice, very poetic. As time went by, I became to be able to sort out the answer to the question, why wasn't I able to finish the song? I feel like it's a theme that was too much for me of then to handle musically, but also I think I had a thought that someday I would for sure be able to feel and know it. Although it's just one song this time, I wanted to show you that I'm becoming a little bit more mature musically, and I realized this song with strong ambitions to keep challenging and improving and to visit you with a more mature self. Please love this song and enjoy it at ease. Here are the lyrics for Blue Side. With everything between us changed, I shout out alone, blue. I get colored by you. My eyes get welled up with blue tears, blue. Spring, summer, fall, and winter, always in that same feeling, blue. I want to go back to those days when I didn't know anything, blue. Blue Side. Back to Blue Side. The sun shines on the cold, the clouds embrace, blue. Riding on the wind right now to that place, blue. Inside my heart comforting me now, blue. Under the blue moonlight, I alone, blue. When I coughed up my pain in darkness, when my sighs froze up and tightened my throat, I felt that on the rainbow bridge, I want to walk along the blue path only. I'm singing my blues, singing my bloom, back in my room. I miss my blue self, and my light breathes back in those days. Or maybe it's, and my light breaths back in those days. I try measuring the weight between calmness and passion. But now I just wish to die, burnt in blue. Blue Side. Back to Blue Side. In my blue dream, I will put you, even if you say no, in my eyes. In my blue dream, I will hold you, even if you say no, in my arms. Blue Side, back to Blue Side. Nostalgic. There's like a feel of regret to it almost, you know, because he clearly wants to go back. He wants to go back at some points, in some ways, sometimes, to being naive. And I feel like that naivete, if you will, is really like attached to the heaviness of everything that goes on. Now, of course, he's looking at this from J-Hope's standpoint, the expectations and the weight and the struggles that come with being an idol. But for your own relation, think about you now as an adult and all of the things that you deal with on a daily basis, the stresses that you have, the anxieties that you feel, the pressures that you face, paying the bills and taking care of the kids and family life and relationships and blah, 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 all the things. There was a time in your life when you didn't have to deal with all those things, and your life was much more simple, if you will. Most likely. Possibly. But even back then, you just couldn't wait to be an adult because life would be easier. How many times have we said that? How many times have you wanted to go back and tell yourself at age whatever, yo, slow down. Appreciate being a kid. But nobody ever listens. Your now self could go back and talk to your young self and it wouldn't matter. Your young self would be like, whatever, I'm doing what I want. You know how it is. But that is the truth. I mean, that's the truth from my standpoint. That's my perspective. Blue Side. I love the feel of this. It's such a tasty flavor. J-Hope. Tasty whispers in the background. I'm picturing Hobie, right? Like we know Hobie. We know his goofiness, his silliness. But I'm picturing Hobie, and this is really kind of morbid, but bear with me. Almost like a cartoon Hobie, which he is anyway, but just kind of like opens up and all these flowers and butterflies and everything comes out. It sounds like this right here. That's how I feel. One of the stranger visuals I've given you, but that really does feel accurate. Like there's so much going on inside this dude, and he articulates it so well through the music, not just the lyrics, but the music. It's so well done. Like every time. Hobie.
뭉지게 다리에 파란 겨망 덮고 싶단 걸 Singing my blue, singing my bloom Back in my room 그립작은 시절 파란 나와 가벼운 숨 냉정과 열정 사이 그 무게를 재보지만 지금 난 그저 파랗게 타서 죽고 싶다 Blue side, blue side Back to the blue side, blue side Blue side, blue side Back to the blue side, blue side Blue side, blue side, blue side, back to blue side, blue side, back to blue side, blue side, back to blue side.
See, you might not hear this. You might not hear, based on how you're watching this right now, but in the mix of this, Hobie's throwing his voice from one side to the other. Sometimes some of the lines it kind of travels, and then sometimes he says something over here, and sometimes it's back here. But in all of his lyrics, there's a lot of reverb. And given the letter, when he talks about like the darkness, I think that makes so much sense. Because again, like we've talked about, this reverb and echo kind of, from a visual standpoint, it makes sense when talking about space or darkness or like, a huge area kind of thing, the echo. So this feels right. All this echo in his voice, it's atmospheric. Hear those chimes? And that bass. Nice. Well done. I loved that. Thanks for the recommendation. Blue Side by J-Hope. And we're going to do Hope World soon. I don't know how. Maybe it'll be alive. I have no idea. But we're going to do it. I love me some Vitaman. I'm Roscoe, your BTS buddy. Look out for each other. We still have a long journey ahead of us.